It's great to see you. I can't believe it's probably been like, I don't even know how long since like when you were in East Bay Jazz.
Yeah, I guess it's been like 7 years now at
Yeah,
least, since it
it's
was
wild.
when I was in high school. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. It's funny just because like particularly with you, one reason I'm happy to chat because you were there for the very first season
Hmm.
was that, we're getting some perspective now where like a lot of the students we've talked to was like high school was like a pretty recent memory. And
Yeah.
then now we have to say like back like the back in high school feeling.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be fun, like remembering, just like calling back to all the good times in East Bay Jazz and just that era of my life. But
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah, we really appreciate it. Are you still living in California? Like where are you these days?
So I went to college at NYU, so I have been living in New York pretty much ever since then.
Cool.
So my family's still in the East Bay. Like I said, since my family's still in California, I often go back. And I'm actually in law school now. So
Awesome.
I am at Fordham Law School, which is based in Manhattan. So I'm just like living in New York City. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for the update. That's so exciting too. So
yeah.
you're yeah, my I have an older brother and he lived in New York in Brooklyn for like 10 years.
Hmm.
He lives in
Okay,
LA now, but I always
got it.
enjoyed going out there and visiting and obviously seeing
Yeah,
all the live music and eating all the
yeah,
food and
for
stuff.
sure.
So,
Yeah, the jazz scene here is like it's that was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to NYU, just like to be in New York where there's like so many jazz bars and jazz clubs you can go to just like on any day of the week.
well, cool. Something that I've been talking to other like former students about is that, we were always in this ensemble setting. So, I
Hmm.
was always kind of like engaging and interacting with everyone as a group. So the fact that we
Hmm.
get to have this one-on-one is like really nice
Yeah.
because it'll allow us just, to hear how you're doing, but also just kind of have some time to reflect on, your time with East Bay Jazz.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess kind of like going into the past a little bit, if you can remember, our very first season was in 2016.
Hmm.
And do you remember like hearing about the program, or what was it that sort of got you interested in the program, if you can recall?
Um, I want to say it was my high school jazz band teacher who I think gave like sort of plugged this program. I want to say it was either him or my private saxophone teacher, but I think it was my high school teacher. And I heard about it through him. Me and a few other of my friends in the jazz ensemble at the time. I don't know if you remember Taylor and Jacob. They
Yeah,
also and Michael Antoon. We all went to the same high school, and so I think we all heard about it at the same time, and then sort of like encouraged each other, like let's try out and join. Why not?
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and I was always looking for ways to like play outside of school. So this was like the perfect opportunity to like play with my friends and also like get to know other jazz musicians at the time, like in high school. But yeah, I think that was how I heard about it through my high school jazz band teacher, Mr. Floyd.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to like thank you for just being interested in bringing like your friends to like be part of the program just because
Yeah.
on a personal level like I had just made this like I didn't know what was going to happen, like what
Mhm.
caliber of students, and then to have like you show up and be our lead alto player and like all your talented friends, it'd be like
Mhm.
wow, like I feel like the cavalry just kind of like came in and now we have this awesome band. Like I had no idea like what was going to happen.
Yeah,
um
it was nice because I don't think there was anything really similar. Like there were honor bands, of course, like county honor bands and stuff, but that was
mhm.
like such a like different, like formalized process. And like I'm sure EBJ is like much more, like I don't know what other processes you have these days to like have students audition and apply and everything, but at the time it felt like so like perfect for like just like East Bay and like just people who like just want to play more music outside of like, like a school setting.
Yeah.
And in that sense it did feel kind of like an honor band in that way. It's like you have to audition and then you have to commit to it, like it's a time commitment and practice and rehearse. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was honestly a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. I would say it's probably a little bit more organized now. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we're
sure.
all kind of figuring it out back
Yeah.
in 2016. But, I think one thing I was so appreciative of you and your musicianship is that yeah, I feel like that you really had this maturity like coming into the program where like when I heard you play and there were a fair amount of like musicians, especially like saxophonists, that's usually
Hmm.
like the most competitive,
Hmm.
seat in a sense in the ensemble. Just like not only like your musicianship but like your maturity like when you first came in, I'm like I have a really strong feeling about her that she's going to be like lead alto and just going to be a leader in this program. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah. So
Okay.
one question I have is what instrument did you play and do you still play?
Yeah, so I played alto saxophone, as you know, and I do still play just like recreation, like for fun. I don't play in a formal ensemble or anything these days, just because I'm in school and it's a bit busy.
Hmm.
Um, but I did play in an ensemble up and like throughout college, and I played through that. I was able to take more like jazz composition classes and like
Cool.
theory classes, and I was in a combo, and then through that combo, like I would get invited to play for like gigs here and there. And so that was really cool. So up until just like a couple years ago, I played pretty regularly, I would say. And yeah, and then these days it's more like I play if the opportunity arises, or like just for my like just to practice here and there for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like yeah, throughout college I tried to still be involved and like sought out a lot of those opportunities, which in New York it wasn't too hard to. And like school,
Sure.
like college, like they kind of like give you like a venue to play at,
Hmm.
and they had a NYU had a lot of different jazz ensembles that I could be a part
Right.
of. So that was a good experience.
I do find it interesting and kind of heartwarming in a way that music still plays a part in people's lives, not only
Mhm.
just from like I think, appreciation and experiencing of it, but also still playing. Like I'll
Yeah.
talk to some of the musicians I've talked to is like, oh, I've, went to work, it was a long day. I'll bust out, my saxophone and like just blast a few notes just to
Mhm.
kind of reinvigorate myself or something.
Yeah.
Would you, I mean, again, we're kind of digging into the past a little bit here.
Mhm.
Do you remember like a certain moment or feeling about the program that like particularly resonated with you or like it could be a performance as well?
Mhm. Yeah, there were a lot of performances that I like. I remember most of our performances, but I think this might have been my last performance with the band, but there was like the San Jose Jazz Festival,
Hmm.
and I remember that one being just like a lot of fun. And maybe because it was like the weather was nice and it was outdoors, and like we also got to see a lot of other jazz bands play and like jazz musicians play at the festival.
Hmm.
I just remember being that one being a lot of fun, and like all of our solos like everyone killed it, whoever soloed on like each of the songs.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's definitely one of my like more memorable performances, I think. I guess like on a smaller scale, like I just remember like every time we had rehearsal, we would like everyone would just be like warming up playing at something before, before like you told us to
Yeah.
settle down, and like get our instruments ready. But I feel like Donna Lee is just like one of those songs that everybody loves
Yeah.
playing once they learn it. And
Yeah.
like there were like a couple of us who knew it just like off the top of our heads, and that would like always be a warm-up song, and like just like
Yeah.
everyone would just start playing it no matter how good it sounded.
Hmm.
And that's like something that I definitely like miss about being in a band, is just like knowing the same songs and playing them,
Hmm.
and like playing it together with people who appreciate it in the same way that you do.
Yeah.
But that was like, yeah, I feel like a lot of people knew Donna Lee off the top of their heads in East Bay Jazz for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember playing that a lot.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Especially with like some time like removed from high school, you can
Hmm.
kind of get some perspective of like, oh yeah, like everyone liked to play just like really fast
Yeah.
technical stuff.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's one thing that hasn't changed. Like it's not necessarily always Donna Lee, but like I've sort of like learned to, step out of the room and be like, this is a moment that everyone needs to have of like
Yeah.
just playing really fast, really loud, and I'm just gonna step out and let that teenage energy just happen.
Yeah. It was like it felt so impressive at the time. And like obviously it's like, it's like such a high school thing too. Or I think of it as like such a high school thing. But yeah, I like remember those moments.
Yeah. But I mean, I know it's like we say it's like such a high school thing, but it's also like such a great thing too, because like I think, when you see like younger musicians and they're experiencing it, maybe this resonates with you, because I have to remind myself of this, like being a music professional and having had a variety of experiences, that the novelty is such a big part, I think, of East Bay Jazz or some of these things where
Mhm.
you know you get to have a performance outside of school for the first time or at a festival or some different setting, and just how exciting that is, that it's just so
Mhm.
novel, kind of like what you
Yeah.
described about that there wasn't really like a program that had regularly met, outside of like, maybe the county honor band or some of the honor bands that are like a weekend.
Yeah.
um, so, it makes me happy that you were able to sort of be aware of that and experience it too, and that I could be part of it and, witness it. It keeps me kind of going with all this. So,
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, that was it. Definitely felt novel, and it made us like, it feels like special and like,
well, June, we're getting a little bit short on time here. It's been really great to chat with you. Like I said,
yeah.
this getting to interact with you and a lot of the other students has always been sort of in a group setting. So the fact that we get this one-on-one and you know get to share this time, especially reflecting on such a formative time in the program, and is special for me. And
Mhm.
it's really nice to kind of hear how you're doing now. It's really neat.
Yeah, and it's good to see you too.
All right, June. Well, thanks
Awesome.
again. It's really nice to see you. Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, yeah,
thanks for
best
having me.
wishes at law school, and
Thank you.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good.
All
All
right, take
right.
care.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.